Welcome to the show, everybody. This is the Farzy Show, presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. It's wonderful to have you along for the ride. Just when the Phillies were starting to, put the good vibes together, and we're all thinking about, hey, maybe this is different. Maybe this is different year. They go and they get shut out, which ultimately I believe is the biggest concern of every Phillies fan. And not only did they get shut out last night, but Bob Nightingale so graciously pointed out that they got what did they post? They posted a .054 batting average against the starters in the rotation against the LA Dodgers. .054. Literally, I'm about to start the postcast last night, and I get a little notification from Bob Nightingale, and I look at it and I go, that's funny. They scored 6 runs, they scored 9 runs, and they scored no runs, and the majority of those runs came off of bullpen arms, obviously, and not starting pitching. So that's not ideal, especially before you know if playoffs will be here and all that type jazz. Also, the Brewers won yesterday, so they pick up another game on the Phillies. They're 2.5 games up for the number 1 seed in the National League. So there's that. And again, shutout, 12 strikeouts. Blake Snell, give him this. He was incredible last night. Absolutely incredible. His curveball in particular, we'll get into the particulars of that coming up in a little bit. But yeah, bad night last night for the Phillies as they failed to complete the sweep of the Dodgers. And also, I don't know why Jesus Luzardo had to come out for the 8th inning again. Just that baffled me. But anyway, your Philadelphia Eagles addressed the media yesterday. Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni. Also, Jordan Mailata. I like Adam Schefter a lot. I had conversations with him for over 2 years, once a week and all that, and just really like the guy. I don't care too much about his opinion. I care about what he reports. He's a reporter. He's not a football analyst. So his opinion on the tush push, I don't care. Jordan Mailata shares that same sentiment because he literally said that yesterday in his locker. And I'm baffled by the attention and opinion of Adam Schefter has gotten, but that's the world we're in. I am a big fan of the tush push. I think it is the most basic football play that you could run through force, trying to advance the football. There's nothing more basic than that. And Jordan Mailata, nobody knows rugby more than Jordan Mailata, probably in the city of Philadelphia. And he says it's not a rugby play. It is a football play. So I'm also going to side with him on that. Plus, I don't care if people think it's a rugby play. I care about whether or not they can use it at the NFL level. And they're using it at the NFL level. And they're using it at the NFL level better than anybody in the NFL. And everyone's sour grapes over it. Everybody's butt hurt over the tush push. That's my favorite thing I've ever said on the show. And I don't care. I only care if they take it away. I did say yesterday, and I'll maintain the idea or maintain the philosophy, the fact that they will vote against it again, or will vote on it next year again, and this time it'll unfortunately be doomed. But as dominant as that play is, as drive extending as that play is, I feel like even if they take it away, you still got Saquon Barkley in this offensive line. And that in and of itself could be something that is pretty close to a tush push in close yardage situations. Plus, the thing I don't like about it is that we've spent a lot of time, and the nation has spent a lot of time talking about that particular play when it comes to the Eagles, and not how well this defense has performed over the first 2 weeks of the season. And Drew Makuba's interception was a highlight of that. Another highlight of that is Jordan Davis just having this, great jump out to this season for a guy that just got himself into the shape that he has gotten himself in. And all the while, he's doing it abruptly in week 1 without Jalen Carter. And now in week 2, in a hot one, at one point today, I think at kickoff, it was 88. And I swear during the broadcast, it said it was 91 degrees during the Chiefs-Eagles game in Kansas City. I'll let you hear from Nick Sirianni. He talked about the weather and how the weather could have had an effect on Jalen Carter, especially his first game of the season, really playing. So I feel I don't like the fact that it's overshadowed the play of a rookie safety. I don't like the fact that it's overshadowed the play of Jordan Davis and how reliable he's been for the first 2 games. Jahad Campbell hasn't gotten the flowers I think he deserves in all this. It's unfortunate that the defense has stepped up to the occasion in the way in which they have. But what we're talking about is the tush push and a lack of passing. Now, my big ask, and I talked about it throughout the offseason, I asked you guys the same question. Kevin Patullo, if you were to ask him one thing going into his first year as an offensive coordinator and play caller for the Philadelphia Eagles, what would that ask be? Well, mine would be, can we lean on the passing game a little bit more, please? I don't want to have to lean on Saquon Barkley as much as we saw the Eagles lean on him last year. I'd like him to be as fresh as humanly possible. I've mentioned ad nauseum the 482 touches that he had in last year's regular season and postseason combined. So maybe just do a little less. Do a little less. Let the passing game do a little bit more. Let A.J. Brown do his thing. Let Devontae Smith do his thing. Let Dallas Goedert, who's only played half the games this year so far, 2 games into the season, let him do a little bit more. But all that goes out the window if Jalen Hurts is inaccurate, or as a coordinator and play caller, you can't scheme guys open that are pretty damn good football players with the football in their hands. Again, Devontae Smith's pretty good. A.J. Brown's pretty good. Getting the ball in their hands should be a priority. And coming up against the L.A. Rams, there's an opportunity here for the Rams, who just put up 33 points on the Titans. Not that that's a brag, but still pretty good passing attack they got there. It could very well turn into a you need to score now type of thing. And one of the things I really hate about the find a way to win thing, okay, in a shootout, are you going to find a way to win? Because right now, this Philadelphia Eagles offense does not look prepared to win a shootout game. And as great as the Eagles defense has been through the first 2 games of the season, this could be a whole new ball game with the stud wide receivers you're going to see on the other side of the football field going up against the LA Rams, and the guy also slinging it to him in Matthew Stafford. I'm all for finding ways to win. It seems a lot easier to do that when you're winning games, 24-20. When you're winning a game 20-17, you can eke out a victory. You can find a way to win. One little misplay all of a sudden flips the scale in your direction, in your favor. So if you find yourself in it's 33-30, are we going to find a way to win this game? It's 33-20 in favor of the Rams. Are we going to be able to find a way to win this game? Yeah, I sure as hell hope so. Now, the Rams got a turnover. They forced a turnover and cashed in on it rather abruptly. It was a close game late in the third quarter, and then the Rams just kind of took over late in that third quarter into the fourth quarter, especially with a turnover in the red zone, if I'm not mistaken, against the Tennessee Titans, where they helped flip the script in that game to really take over in that game and take control of it. So this is an offense that obviously does not turn the football over. Knock on cheap IKEA wood. It still counts. And this would be a game to keep that streak going of not giving gifts to the opponent. It's one of the main reasons why you can have confidence in the Eagles winning football games is that they don't give the football away. This is the game where that could bite you in the behind. This is the game where that could really be the beginning of a downward spiral in a game, because you're facing a team that is going to capitalize on those opportunities. Now, the one thing I'll say about Jalen Hurts, and I'll always maintain this about him since the awful turnover run that he had at the end of 2 years ago and into last year, it's that he has kind of cracked the code on all this. Like, he realizes he's got a good enough football team around him where he doesn't have to take big risks, and he'll have opportunities to win the game at the end if need be. That's not to say that you shouldn't take shots downfield. That's not to say that you still shouldn't get A.J. Brown in positions where he can make big plays for you. That would still be nice, so that maybe in the fourth quarter you're not sweating it out in the final couple of minutes. Maybe that's where you don't need a Drew Makuba interception at the goal line, essentially, to help flip the script of the game. He certainly cracked the code on that. Now I need the Eagles to crack the code on their passing game. 101 yards passing against the Kansas City Chiefs, although surprising, it's not pleasing to know that you won that game. It's pleasing to know you won the game, but in the manner in which you did it, you have better weapons out there. And a lot of this falls on Kevin Patullo. A lot of this falls on the quarterback. And I'm someone who I'm a huge Jalen Hurts fan. I know nowadays you say anything negative about a player. Oh, you hate Jalen. Love Jalen Hurts. I have said he's the second best quarterback in the NFL. I firmly believe that. He's got weapons to show that he could be the best. I'd like to see those weapons put to work. I saw one opinion out there, and I can't remember who it was. It was back to the tush push. And it was about how Jalen Hurts, I think it was on Barstool maybe. It was about how Jalen Hurts, don't quote me on that. It was about how Jalen Hurts is, the Eagles need the tush push so bad because Jalen Hurts is a bad quarterback. And I know that in the early days of the tush push, that was out there, and now it's kind of been shut up. The reigning Super Bowl MVP, it's kind of hard to label him as a bad quarterback. I've never thought he's a bad quarterback, but people just want to throw mud. They want to sling that mud. So you're telling me the Super Bowl MVP, who absolutely aired it out in that Super Bowl, by the way. You're telling me a guy who's been a runner-up for the actual MVP award for the regular season. You're telling me the guy that hasn't lost a game in like almost a calendar year, a game that he started and finished, and a guy that does have an automatic play that's a first down or touchdown in short yardage. You mean to tell me that guy's a bad quarterback? Interesting. Oh, and that guy, no matter how bad a game he may have had, he always finds a way to get that 3rd and 7 conversion in crunch time. Convert that 4th down play. Finds a way to have the back-breaking scramble that he can have. That guy, that's that thing we're all talking about here? That's a bad quarterback? Yep. Nope. That's pretty damn good quarterback. Now, as far as the struggles go with Jalen Hurts in this offense, in this passing game, really, it is concerning that you haven't thrown for a touchdown pass yet. You haven't thrown a touchdown yet. And it is concerning that you have 2 touchdowns in your last 6 quarters of football. That ain't cool. Jalen Hurts talked about taking responsibility for that. And he also talked about this template. Now, I don't like this. This came up in yesterday's press conference. There's this template. Huh? Fortunately, I don't know who the reporter was, but they asked a follow-up question like, what are you talking about, a template, basically? And I don't like the excuse is a strong word, but I don't like the excuse of we've been so good for so long with these players that people know how to combat us. They know how to combat me and A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Now they also have a full year of me and Saquon Barkley with these players involved as well. I don't like that. That to me just sounds like too convenient an excuse. Okay, so what's the adjustment to the adjustment? Because that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about making adjustments to the adjustments that the league has made on you after a flat-out year of complete and utter dominance in the NFL. So what's your adjustment? Get creative. Get in there with Kevin Patullo, Nick Sirianni. Jalen Hurts said yesterday he's got to ask the right questions to challenge those around him. Okay, hint taken. How does this team adjust to what the league is doing to them? Is the league just going to keep setting pressure like you saw time and time again from Steve Spagnuolo and limit the opportunities that Jalen Hurts has to throw the ball downfield? Are they going to force Jalen Hurts in this offense into hot routes? Because I'd love to see that. I was asking Seth Joyner about this the other day during our postgame show when you saw that Jalen Hurts was struggling with the blitz and how many times he was blitzed against the Kansas City Chiefs and how even Steve Spagnuolo and the standard he has set for himself in his NFL career, even past Steve Spagnuolo is looking at Sunday's Steve Spagnuolo and going, Steve, this is a lot of blitzes. Like, this is a lot. So the Eagles have to manage that. And talking to Seth Joyner about it, I said, well, is this a Patullo thing or is this a Hurts thing? And he goes, this is like a 4 or 5 year thing. This is Steichen. This is Sirianni to Steichen to Brian Johnson to Kellen Moore to right now with Kevin Patullo, where they just never have those hot reads. They never have those routes where you're throwing into the blitz. And next thing you know, that guy that's open because they're sending 2 blitzers or whatever from the second level. That guy that's open, you're not getting it to him. So you got to crack the code on that. Why it's been so long to do that, I don't know. Do they have sometimes Saquon out in the flat? Yes, they have Saquon out sometimes in the flat. And then he'll make a play for you as that check down, that last option. The problem for me is there were plays, plenty of them in this game against the Chiefs, where if you're just watching the game regularly on TV and you're not seeing the all 22, I know I've referenced it every day of the week so far, but it's important. If you're not watching the all 22, I don't want to hear about Jalen Hurts holding on to the football too long. Because maybe one time there was a check down available with A.J. Brown running an out route to the left of Jalen Hurts. So for a right-handed quarterback, he's got to turn all the way around and see where that guy's going. The play wasn't there, but he had time to make the throw. I don't think he could see him because of the way the offensive line was blocking and the way the defensive line was going. So maybe the passing lane wasn't there. The sight line wasn't there to make the play. But either way, that's just one example. And everything else had to do with just guys being blanketed in coverage and not being open. For guys to be blanketed like that, and for A.J. Brown to essentially be taken out of 2 games to start the season, it tells me that you're just being extremely predictable. And for a team that was starting the season, especially with Jalen Hurts, talking about the mindset of how another team has to pick their poison, your opponent has to pick their poison if they're going to try to stop Saquon Barkley or they're going to try to stop you. Well, week 1, they stopped both. Week 2, Saquon was better, about 88 yards on the ground? That's better, but that's not what Saquon Barkley's capable of in really dominating a game. And Jalen was held under 100 yards. Now, look, bottom line is, did they find a way to win? Yes. Am I happy about that? Of course I am. But we need to see the improvement here. Another thing we've been saying all week is the startup costs. I could deal with it now, week 1, week 2. Okay, fine. Didn't play in the preseason because whatever. That's not a thing anymore. So you got to have these startup costs in the season. Well, they should be a little bit more expedited because you played with these guys for so long. I hope that this is the game. And look, maybe, just maybe, the Rams put the Eagles' backs against the wall at the link in midway through the third quarter. And all of a sudden, you got to see this passing offense take flight or lose. Because we haven't seen that in these first 2 games. Take flight or lose. Have success in that area of the game or lose. Hey, look, if Saquon's going off for 150 yards in this game, then I don't give a damn about the passing game. Because, yes, bottom line, whatever it takes to win. But I'd also like to know that passing game can take the next level, take the next step. And there's one thing in particular that stuck out to me yesterday about listening to Jalen Hurts, and it had more to do with responsibility. It had less to do with responsibility and more about synchronization. Here's Jalen Hurts yesterday addressing the media, talking about taking that responsibility in the passing game and what's been going on with it.
More importantly, just overall operation and how we function, how we flow, our synchronization. I think that I take accountability for a lot of it, and just how we go out there, because it's my job. My job is to go out there and be the general, orchestrate everything, and ultimately make plays. And, given the opportunities we had, I'm very critical of myself of trying to make the most of what's given to us. And so there's definitely some evolution that we can do. There's definitely some things that we can grow in. But I look inward on all of those things and just want to make the most of the opportunities that we do have,
Okay. Evolution. I'd like to see it. Certainly. I believe you talked about synchronization there. Remember that Panthers game last year where I believe the term the kids like to use is the Eagles played like cheeks? That game was straight cheeks. After the game, Jalen Hurts talked about synchronization. Everything is out of sync. The passing game is out of sync. Watching the all-22 of that one, oh, yeah. Jalen Hurts was awful. The wide receivers were awful. The offensive line was awful. That was the game Jordan Mailata said afterwards. We didn't know what we were doing out there. Yeah, okay. Didn't know what their assignments were. Just not great. Not ideal. Then the next game they came out against Pittsburgh Steelers, I believe Jalen Hurts threw for 290 yards. And yeah, everything looked like it was in sync. So if you want this team to be a breakout game passing-wise for the Eagles, well, after they had a lot of struggles, the last time they had struggles with their passing game, that was against that Carolina Panthers team. They came out, they lit the world on fire. I'd like to see that again this week against a team that you just might have to light the world on fire for, against the LA Rams. Now, the other part of this is that template thing, the template. As he goes, by the way, his first answer was about 2.5 minutes long. Here he is with some more of it, just talking about how these teams kind of got him clocked right now.
There's a template, so I think expectations are fair. Ultimately, it's about winning. But when we look at what we're capable of, we know what we're capable of. But given this new season, this new team, offensive leadership looking different, you grow into that, and that's what I mean. So we're confident in where we can go.
I have an idea of what the template is, but just to be clear, what template are you referring to?
Well, I'm just referring to over the time that we've had success. Offensive football has always been played at a high level here. It's been dynamic, and it's found ways to win. And we hope to continue to work to be able to do that, and we think that there are pieces and ways that we can improve, and we've been very critical of ourselves, and that starts with me being critical of myself.
As I would want him to be critical of himself, of course, obviously. But now you're talking about the fifth year of Jalen Hurts as a starting quarterback. So I think partially he's talking about that, where, hey, we've been good for a long time. Teams know what I can do. They're going to try to make me not do it. Teams know what I can do well. They're going to try to prevent me from having an opportunity to do that. And teams also know I'm looking for A.J. Brown, looking for Devontae. Like they know how we like to do things. They know how I like to do things. So the template is out. Okay. Well, now you have a new offensive coordinator that's supposed to have a couple of new ideas. How do you break the mold, essentially? How do you make teams come up with another template? Because it's not like you have a lack of weapons here. Howie Roseman has done a phenomenal job building this roster. You have weapons galore. You can't find a way to... No? We're not going to get more creative. We're not going to find a better way to beat the blitz. We're not going to find a way to put the ball in the hands more of Devontae Smith or A.J. Brown. I don't want to hear that everyone's got a template. Oh, this is what you do to stop the Eagles. Okay. I think last year a lot of teams tried to stop the Eagles. They couldn't. 10-game winning streak, blowout in the NFC Championship game, blowout in the Super Bowl. This can't be a season. I understand, and I've said it more than anybody, unrelenting is the perfect word to describe this Eagles schedule. Unrelenting. I ain't saying it's going to be easy, but give me some hope that you have that next gear to be able to control games throughout, because a season like 2023, where you're just finding ways to win each and every week, you know what that eventually amounts into? A devastating loss. Look at the Kansas City Chiefs last year. Perfect example of that. They found ways to win throughout the season. Now, they're not doing it this year. They're 0-2 for crying out loud. There's a 3-game losing streak for Patrick Mahomes. Oh, my God. Panic in the streets of Kansas City. People are spitting up their barbecue. But show me the evolution. The word I'll take away that inspired some confidence is the evolution. Let me see the evolution in this offense under Kevin Patullo and him calling the shots. Now, speaking of Kevin Patullo, I think one would assume that you'd have to have thick skin to be a coordinator, a coach, whatever, manager in the city of Philadelphia. I don't doubt that Kevin Patullo understands that. He didn't just start here yesterday. If Kellen Moore came in here and he was like, man, these people are mean. Like I would, Kellen Moore's not familiar. Like, yeah, he was with Dallas. He understands that the Philadelphia fan base is a tough crowd, but you just have a star on your helmet or your shirt or your pullover, your jacket. People are going to boo you. So yeah, I don't think he understands what it meant to coach here in Philadelphia or be a coordinator here in Philadelphia, be a play caller here in Philadelphia. So yeah, he got the chance to win a Super Bowl, did that, moved on. Now he's a head coach. Kevin Patullo's been here. He understands the media in Philadelphia. He understands the fan base in Philadelphia. And I think taking the job, he understood that if it starts out bumpy, that people are going to want his head. And you're also talking about taking over a position where your run game was incredible. Your pass game was great. You put up points left and right last year. It's similar to Ruben Amaro Jr. tells a story all the time about taking over the Phillies after they won the World Series, about how his brother was laughing at him. Like, literally, he got the job. The Phillies win the World Series. He takes over as general manager. Pat Gillick retires. And his brother was saying, this is the worst possible time to take over the Phillies. And Ruben Amaro was like, what do you mean? I got a championship roster? This is great. He goes, you got one direction you could possibly go. Down. Like, everything's great, but there's one direction. Down. That's it. You're not going to do better than last year. Now, you could argue, oh, you could have won another World Series. You could have beat the Yankees, for instance. Well, it's a similar thing with Kevin Patullo and Kellen Moore. You just won the Super Bowl. Yeah, one of the best offenses in the entire NFL. It's hard to take that over and maintain, especially with an alleged template being out there. So, look, the first couple weeks of the season, and I hope it was only the first couple weeks of the season, and by week 3, your preseason games are done. I know September can be rough in the NFL, especially with the way the preseason is treated nowadays, and you hope that they learn and they move on from it. But in the meantime, I love that this question had to be asked, and this was Dave Zangaro of NBC Sports Philly asking the question just about whether or not Kevin Patullo is ready for the criticism in Philadelphia.
One of the hardest positions to coach, I'll go there first. One of the hardest positions to coach is the position that your coordinator or your head coach played and coached. And so Kevin has dealt with a lot of my criticism throughout the years. And he has thick skin. And you have to have thick skin because, obviously, all you got to think, you got to do the things that you can do to control the things that you can control. You can't focus on anything else. So we know there's going to be criticism, and we know what we signed up for. And I think Kevin's got a great mindset on that. He always has. I've used Kevin to, full transparency. I've used Kevin in moments where he's like, man, you need to, he can be my mentor at times as far as, helping me get through things. And that
he goes on to say that that's always been important to him. But yeah, I don't, here's the thing. I only care about it if it's something that would rattle Kevin Patullo. And I can't see a guy who's been here for 5 years and certainly seen his running mate for a lot of the years he's been in the NFL in Nick Sirianni. I can't see him being shocked by any sort of negative reaction. And here's the other thing. If he thinks it's bad now, I don't want to put the vibe out there that Kevin Patullo is like shaking in the film room. It's like, I better get the next one right. I better do this right next time. Oh my God, the fans are going to kill me. No, I don't think that's going to be the case at all. And I don't think that is the case at all. I don't want to paint that picture. But if he does happen to think that people have been rather harsh, wait till you're not undefeated. Wait till you're 2-1. Wait till you're 2-2, God forbid. Wait till you're 2-3. No. You can at least fall back on the idea that the Eagles right now are 2-0. They got this game coming up here against the Rams as a home game. The Eagles have played the Rams very well last year, in particular, beating them in the playoffs in the snow, and then just Saquon running all over them out there in Los Angeles. Also, 2 years ago, if you remember, Vic Fangio, not Vic Fangio, it was Sean Desai at the time of all people. If you remember 2 years ago, not last year, but the year before, they went out there to Los Angeles again, and that was a game where Cooper Kupp had like 92 yards, 96 yards in the first half, and then finished with like 120. Like, they did a great job making adjustments against him, and that was before Cooper DeJean and Quentin Mitchell were out there in the secondary. So if I'm the Eagles, I think I understand going into this, and Vic Fangio doesn't need to be told this, that you're going to be targeting, again, the younger guys on this defense. and they're going to be trying to take advantage of their inexperience. But offensively speaking, you got to capitalize on a young defensive core out there. Jared Verse has certainly had his things to say about Philadelphia Eagles fans. He walked it back a little bit. Offensively, we know what the Rams bring to the table, but defensively that's who you're going up against here to try to get your passing attack back on schedule. My only hope is going into this game that the Eagles are asserting their will and not the Eagles reacting to the Rams starting to light up the scoreboard. Because, hey, look, Adoree Jackson played better. People have talked about how he played better against the Chiefs. Okay. All right. Speaking of there's only one direction to go, he couldn't have been any worse than he was against the Cowboys. So the fact that he wasn't terrible again, that's good. But it ain't a brag. You know what I mean? It ain't a brag. So I hope that the Eagles come out and they execute well. They have a good game plan, first and foremost. They call a good game. And I also hope that going into this one, it's the Eagles asserting their authority and imposing their will, as opposed to them having to react to a situation where the Rams have them in a hole in the early goings of the game. So I'll go ahead and cross my fingers that they're in the lab this week, as they like to say, doing all the things they need to do to draw up the perfect game plan. Yesterday, just to get into this for a second, or 2 days ago, I should say by now, Vic Fangio started a little bit of a firestorm with Jalen Carter and how his conditioning is.
He had some good rushes. He's still, I think he needs to round into better shape.
Okay. So yesterday, Nick Sirianni got asked about Jalen Carter. He starts by talking about the weather just being hot out there and how everybody was having some issues, and they all tried to prepare for that as best as possible. Then he gets into Jalen Carter specifically as far as his endurance and stamina going into these games.
Yeah, we knew that it was going to be all hands on deck for that game. Where actually we prepared for that, like it was going to be a little bit hotter. It ended up being some cloud cover that was good, but we were prepared for that. He's working his butt off to be in the best shape of his life, just like all our guys. And so we know that if we're in great shape, then we can play relentless effort and we can play with great detail. It's hard to play with great detail and relentless effort when you're not in great shape. So that's always a work in progress for every player throughout the year, is just to get yourself into game shape, because, get yourself into game shape and then maintain it, because, there is no substitute for the games. Like,
yeah, you can't just get on the treadmill. Goes on to talk about being on different exercise equipment and then how that just does not replicate being in a game and playing. And that is beyond true. Anyone who has played sports at any level knows that you could do all the running in the world. You can do all of it. But until you get into the game itself, that is exactly how you get into shape. You could prepare yourself for getting into game shape, but you're not in game shape just yet until you play in those games. I think that's true in every level, from high school on, pretty much. Even some of the higher level, your 7th and 8th grade years, even. Until you get out there, like, okay, now, granted, 7th, you're feeling a lot better about being in shape and easier, but you get in the game and it's a lot different. It's a lot different. And for football in particular, because just how versatile an athlete you have to be. So I am not concerned about Jalen Carter. Did it raise my eyebrows when Vic Fangio kind of started this? Yes. Fangio, I think when Reuben Frank asked him the question, started to not walk it back, but be like, this is not a surprise, everybody. Didn't really participate that much in training camp because he had the shoulder injury. Obviously didn't play in the preseason. This is not a huge surprise. He's working himself into it. He'll be okay. We've had these conversations. We're on top of it. That's how I got Fangio's vibe. That's what I got from his vibe after the initial, well, he's got to be in shape. He's got to be in shape. Well, I'm sorry, what? He's not in shape? That's not good. Now, all of a sudden, Jordan Mailata is the guy that is sweating to the oldies, and Jalen Carter is not. Issues. All right. Also, just as far as the locker room conversations yesterday, the media sessions, Dallas Goedert taking it day by day. Dallas Goedert taking it day by day. Your Philadelphia Phillies. Good vibes were happening. They had beaten the Dodgers the first 2 games of the 3-game series. They'd come back from being down 4-0. They came back from blowing a lead, taking another lead, then blowing that lead. They came back, and they won. Rafael Marchand, the Marchand miracle. 3-run home run down the right field line against the Dodgers. And then yesterday, kaput. Blake Snell yesterday just put the Phillies over his knee. Blake Snell struck out 12, had 12 strikeouts in the game. He struck out Kyle Schwarber 3 times. He used his curveball 7 times as the put-away pitch. He induced 24 swings and misses and allowed 2 hits while he was in the ballgame. 2 hits while he was in the ballgame, and he pitched 7 innings. I saw something last night. Phillies, by the way, lost 5-0. Yeah, that was the score last night, 5-0. Phillies last night, I'd never seen this before. Blake Snell in the 7th inning. If you didn't see this, this is amazing because I've never seen it. I have seen a starting pitcher win an argument. I think we've all seen that, where the manager comes out. Usually it's the pitching coach. Hey, how you doing? Not good? Okay, well, you could be better. And then they trot back to the dugout with their hands in their pockets. I've seen that a million times, but I've seen the manager come out sometimes and lose the argument, or just I want to look into his eyes and have him tell me whether or not he could go. Well, Blake Snell, Dave Roberts is trotting out there to the mound in the 7th inning. There's 2 on, 2 out. Roberts goes out to the pen, or excuse me, goes out to the mound and is saying, like, all right, okay, well, let's get you out, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, you could see it not only on Blake Snell's face, but he's actually saying, you could read his lips, just like, I'm not done. I'm not coming out. I'm not coming out. Even to the point where Dodger players were turning around to the bullpen and just be like, nope, don't even bother. Don't even bother. So sure enough, Roberts gets out there. He has a little conversation, and Snell stays in the game. Now, this I have seen before. What I have never seen before is Vesia, the bullpen arm, the bullpen pitcher, comes onto the field, and then it literally does a U-turn and gets back into the bullpen. That I've never seen before. Like, oh, you don't no, he won the argument. Oh, no way. And he goes back in. I've never seen that before. And then it got me thinking, like, at what point is he in the game? Did they technically bring him onto the field of play, so now he's in? Or does he physically have to take the ball? Is that the moment that the relief pitch? It got me thinking. I don't know the answer to that question. When are you officially in? Is it like, can you throw warm-up pitches and then come back out? Like, oh, you know what? I changed my mind. You're not going to pitch. And then the starter comes back out. Not that would ever happen, but I'm just saying, when is the next pitcher officially in the ball game? I don't know the answer to that question. Maybe when they throw their first pitch, when the pitcher leaves to go to the dugout. I don't know. These are the questions that I think about. This is what keeps me up at night. Yeah, just I've never seen that before. But anyway, Phillies were terrible last night, and Blake Snell was great. He was great. Phillies very limited in opportunities yesterday. That 7th inning, they had an opportunity again, 2 on, 2 out after back-to-back walks to Castellanos and Kepler. Phillies, I feel like they had another opportunity. Yeah, 3rd inning, they get back-to-back 2-out singles. So the only opportunities they had came with really 2 outs. Back-to-back 2-out singles in the 3rd inning. Kyle Schwarber went down one of his 3 times swinging. This time it was the curveball. He struck out first on a 1-2 fastball, sit down. Then he struck out on a 2-2 curveball. That ended his at-bat in the 3rd inning and also killed any chance of the Phillies putting up some runs there in that inning. Then later in the ball game, he gets out of the 2-on, 2-out situation there by getting Otto Kemp to strike out on a fastball. Kemp was up in the count 2-0, and then it was just all downhill after that. And then the Phillies, they put some runners on there in the 9th inning, but by then, home plate umpire Nestor Seiya was just like, yeah, no, we're done here. And everything all of a sudden was a strike. I felt a little bad for Jesus Luzardo. There were 2 things that really came back to bite him. The first run he gave up was a Freddie Freeman solo home run in the second inning, a 1-0 sinker he put up and in, just in the nitro zone, as Kruk likes to say, and he blasted that one 419 feet to center field for a 1-0 Dodgers lead. Later in the inning, Roarver comes up with a runner in scoring position. 0-2 count. Now, this is the way the at-bat went. Luzardo threw a perfect sweeper to Roarver. Swing and a miss, chased it low and away. Then he threw a second sweeper that was up and in, swung at it and missed it. So you got one that's low and away, you got one that's up and in. My guess is Luzardo was trying to repeat the first pitch, but split the difference between the two and went right in the middle for a please hit me as hard as you can sweeper hanging out over the middle of the plate. And Roarver did for an RBI single that made it a 2-0 game. So got, unfortunately, bad luck there. Or just made a bad pitch there. Fourth inning, he's got 2 outs in the inning. He walks Pages on 5 pitches. Pages steps up there. He steals second base. He's standing on second base now with Kike Hernandez at the plate. I always think of Kike Hernandez as a fellow lover of Chase Utley, just as all Philadelphia fans. And for whatever reason, with 2 outs, he decides to attempt to pick off Pages at second base, Luzardo. He turns, fires a second for a pickoff attempt, fires it into center field. Pages takes third. Kike Hernandez then gets an RBI single, hitting a little blooper into center field for an RBI single. Now it's a 3-0 game. That was some bad luck and also a bad decision by Luzardo. You got 2 outs, man. Just get Kike Hernandez out at the plate. That's all you need. Then I don't know. I didn't catch Rob Thompson after the game, so maybe he was asked. Maybe he probably was asked about it. Jesus Luzardo is around 100 pitches after 7 innings. He had a quality start and a little bit more under his belt already. 7 innings, 3 runs. For whatever reason, even around 100 pitches, he came out and pitched in the top of the 8th inning or bottom of the 8th inning and faced Shohei Ohtani. And Shohei Ohtani only took him deep for his 51st home run of the season. I don't get it. As I mentioned earlier, Phillies tried a little bit of a rally there in the top of the 9th inning and got nothing. They put some runners on, but got no help. It was a 6-pitch at bat to Ohtani. So let me do some quick math because this is going to bother me for the rest of the day if I can. Yeah, he was at 100 pitches on the dot, and they had him come out to face Ohtani. That's just cruel. Ugh. Let me tell you about the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code Farzy. Get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. Want to go to the game, the concert, the comedy show? Game Time app has you covered. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code Farzy, get $20 off your first purchase. And let's not forget about the Game Time Picks feature, which filters out all the fluff. You get right down to it, the best seats at the best prices on the Game Time app. How about PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsNation.com. Let's get into the chat check and see how you wonderful people are doing on this fine morning. Jason A., hello. April, hello. Rye, good morning. Carter Hart is out, yet another hole in the Flyers Swiss cheese roster. Yeah, so Carter Hart's camp telling the Flyers we'd like a fresh start elsewhere, and I'm fine with it. Rye, since Tom Brady can own a team and go into the locker room, WIP should hire Jeffrey Lurie to get so he gets press credentials and spy on 31 teams. I agree. By the way, thank you for bringing that up, Rye. I haven't really talked about this story. So Tom Brady meets with coaches and gets game info. I want people to understand something here. And I am coming from a place of in the know. I worked in primetime football for 11 years. I sat in production meetings. The game plan is discussed with producers, directors, and talent. Chris Collinsworth won game. Now, do I still have you? I mentioned Chris Collinsworth. Still got you? Okay. Chris Collinsworth, I've heard on air, once said, called out a play on air, saying, oh, the Giants were telling us about it. This. I know I'm going to get a call, but every time they do this, they do that. And it's like, that information is now going to another NFL owner? What? Like, literally, I've sat in there. I've gotten a 2-page little report on what we want to do as a broadcast, but also to help us follow everything going on in the game. It kind of helps ahead of time if you know what another team what the teams want to do. Fred Gaudelli, producer of NBC Sunday Night Football for a long time, is taking on more of an executive role now. But when I was there for 11 years, he was the boss man. He is the boss man. And I love that guy. I'll run through a brick wall for that guy. He did a article. I want to Deadspin. I can't remember which website it was, but he did an interview. And in the comment, and he talked about what he does for his job, meeting with coaches, and talking about game plans and all that. And then the comments below it were like, wait a minute, coaches talk about their game plan with TV producers? And it wasn't about Fred in general. It was about just TV producers in general. Or Fred specifically, it was about TV producers in general. And I remember talking to Fred about it, and he was like, yeah, I didn't want to do the article, but like, it's just good pub for everybody, you know. And people are curious. So, and I'm like, yeah, I get that. But I'm surprised that many people, with the amount, here's what surprised me. Almost every single game, whether it's prime time, whether it's, not a national game, whether it's at your standard garden variety broadcast, every single announcer, broadcaster, play-by-play guy, color analyst, sideline reporter, whoever. We were talking to Nick Sirianni this week, and he was telling us that this is one of the things they really want to make sure they get, like, every game. And people are surprised that information, like where that information comes from. They tell you where the information comes from. It comes from meetings with coaches. That's what it comes from. It comes with meetings with players. That's where it comes from. So, yeah, the idea of an NFL owner who's in the coach's box for his team after getting information like this, ban him from the facility all you want. Yeah, Zoom is a thing. Remember that pandemic? Remember that Zoom thing? Yeah. It should not be allowed. I don't care what restrictions you put on Tom. And this isn't a Tom Brady thing. This isn't anybody ever thing. You should not be an NFL owner. You should not be working for another NFL team, let alone be an owner, for crying out loud, and be allowed to be on a broadcast. That is absolutely ridiculous. You want to, be a studio host? Sure. You're not having the meetings. You're not going over the specific game plans. But to be an NFL owner and be the essentially, national game of the week type of broadcaster, no way. No way. By the way, this never happened to me, so this is secondhand, so take it for as you will. All the games we did in New England in the Belichick era, the little 2-page report that I told you about, that has, like, essentially it's camera assignments and stuff like that. But a lot of it is like, hey, watch out. They really want to use this guy today. That kind of thing. So know where this guy is. Stuff like that. But I heard this story. I never experienced this story. But after the meeting, whatever room we had the meeting in, so let's say we're in Foxborough and we're in the catering hall, like a smaller catering room, and we have our meeting. If somebody left their packet on the table or left their 2-page report somewhere, Belichick would send a guy in. Now, again, this is what I heard from a reliable source, but Belichick would actually send somebody in just to make sure there was no packets left laying around. Now, I would always take mine with me, but just because I needed it to work. But sometimes people would just leave it. They'd get their camera assignment and just leave it. So Belichick would actually have somebody come and just kind of sweep the room. Like, packet, let me take that. So, yeah, once more. There's no way in hell Tom Brady should be allowed to be an NFL owner and a broadcaster. Tate, good morning. Tate rides. First reason I've heard actually have a problem with Brady being a commentator. He's just bad overall. You know what I never noticed? How annoying Tom Brady's voice is. He does not have a good voice. Did get me. Dealer time. Rye, hello. Jason A, I expect no heart. I expect no heart either. I love Adam Schefter. I just don't, if I'm being real, there are reporters and there's analysts. He's a reporter. So when he reports, I go, oh, wow, okay. When he analyzes, I go, okay, nope, I'm good. Sketch, 30 people. On my live feed, it has 373. 30 people watching, you must be proud. You don't. 30 people must be proud. Do you not listen to 94 or 97.5 because or are you petty because you were fired from both? I was fired from one. I quit WIP, and then I got let go at the Fanatic. Got fired, if that's the word you want to use. Thanks for chiming in, Sketch. Nice to see you. Have a great day. Sean Kilrain, hello. Jahad Campbell, 83.6 Pro Football Focus grade, 10 tackles, forced fumble, 3 stops, 42.4 passer rating allowed. Kid is a motor. Love it. Wayne the Pain, good morning, go Birds. Sean Kilrain, Farzi, hello. Phillies magic number update to make the playoffs clinched. To clinch the NL East, clinched. First round bye, 4. Let's go. Let's go. Okay. So yesterday when my lot, I think this was when he was addressing the media, or maybe it was when he was at WIP, or when it was on WIP 2 days ago. He mentioned this. Can't remember where he said it, but this is a common thing where the defensive line will try to throw the offensive line off by mimicking cadence. So I can only imagine they're doing it more and specifically more on the tush push. So I'm interested to see how the Eagles adjust to that. Sean Gillespie, adjust to the template because the Eagles are on every team's radar. That's a good point. There's no sneaking up on teams as the Eagles. You're the Super Bowl champion, been to the playoffs every year, been to 2 Super Bowl. People know you're good, so you're going to get their best. You don't have to draw more focus to play the Eagle. You don't have to depend on outside noise. Elsa, hello. Not as good of a morning, but always fun spending time. Aw, thank you, Elsa. Thank you. Wayne the Pain, scary 2 games ahead. Jalen Carter saved our ass last time they played Los Angeles in the playoffs. We traveled to Tampa. That is never a fun time, that's for sure. Hopefully this time around it is. Sean Gillespie, sweating to an oldies. You're welcome. Jason A, come on, some are more in shape than others. Jerry Rice would run whole days, and it helped him be in game shape. That's true. I also just saw this thing come up in my feed. I don't know where this came from, but it was just a story about Jerry Rice. Apparently, before Super Bowls, he wouldn't eat or sleep. Okay, psycho. Danny, hello. Hey, Schefter should stick to what he knows. Because him thinking the tush push is why the Chiefs' loss is sad. Right? DK, Mr. Sandman. I'm Tom Brady, bitch. Show me your playbook. That's funny. Schefter complaining about the tush push, then making a happy birthday post. That's right. Oh, that's hilarious. Thanks, everybody in the chat. You guys are great as per usual. Hey, no Phillies postcast today, but we do have an installment of Locked On 76ers coming up at, 10 o'clock today? And noon today, Locked On Eagle Squad show as well. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Be back with you guys tomorrow for the Farzi show and throughout today as well. See you guys then.